Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Good to be with you each and every morning at 10:45, giving you the message, the action, the tools to be empowered and taking one more concrete step toward winning the 2026 midterm election. Before we get into today's episode and call, I want to bring up a couple of upcoming events. There's a Listening at the Doors training in Coon Rapids today at 6:30 p.m. This evening, you can join Senator Doran Clark and Representatives Sidney Jordan and Mohammed Noor at 5 p.m. for the Northeast Minneapolis Parade. And finally, join the Common Good Coffee Club at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning in Isani. All these events can be found at dfl.org/events. A couple of quick updates before we get into the message memo for the week. First, we previewed the launch of Project True North. It was supposed to launch at 2. We had to push it to 11 a.m. today, so about 15 minutes from now, shortly after this call, we'll go live. I hope that you can still help us make sure that we amplify as many of those channels as possible. And I believe they're on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram, so places you can find Project True North. We've learned from experts who built headquarters, fact post, and other rapid response accounts. These are engineered accounts to make sure that the message gets out there clearly and quickly. This is a unique messenger designed to feel independent and honest, to make voters where they are, to meet voters where they are and build that trust. Second, also, you probably saw this morning, the Washington Post is reporting that Donald Trump's ballroom will now cost taxpayers $300 million. That's $300 million for a ballroom that no one asked for, on top of $300 million for Iran. You can add that to the billions of wasted in the war of choice, Donald Trump's choice to go to war in Iran, and now the $300 billion giveaway. There's not enough money for your health care, he tells us, but there's always enough to give more money to ICE, to cage matches on the White House lawn, and to Republican vanity projects like Trump's repainted reflecting pool. That's what Republicans are standing for. That's the record they have to defend this November. So that actually transitions us right into this week's message memo. Welcome to the call, Asha Carroll, our Senior Director of Communications Research and Data. Great to have you with us again. Asha, what is the message of the week?
Hi, Richard. Good to be back on the call with you. And this Trump news about the ballroom estimate is a great segue for the message of the week. It proves our point, which is that Democrats invest in Minnesotans and Republicans invest in Trump. So this week, we'd like you to put these ideas front and center in your communications. Number one, inflation hit a 3-year high this past month, erasing all wage growth. Trump's response to that was that he, quote, loves the inflation. I'm sure you saw this late last week. And Minnesota Republicans are rubber stamping Trump's economic agenda, taxes, tariffs, and a war that is costing billions. You just said it. And every MNGOP candidate, I want folks to remember this today. Every MNGOP candidate for governor has said they do not disagree with Trump on a single thing. We'll get more into that in this episode. The cost of living is going up because of choices Trump and Republicans have made. Okay, that's the why driving this. Everything from gas to mortgage rates keeps getting more expensive. And I know that we all feel that. Republicans want your paycheck to pay for their Iran war, their ICE contracts, and their White House ballrooms and cage fights. You said it at the top of the call. Republicans oppose protections for working families, and they have no plan to bring down healthcare or housing costs. We saw this. Amy Klobuchar came out with her housing plan. None of the Republican candidates for governor had a plan. Minnesotans, I want to bring this back to Minnesotans always, right? They're the heroes in this story. We know what we're fighting for. Our state was just ranked the best in the country for quality of life. Number one, because we believe in investing in each other. That's our values as Minnesotans. Our Democratic farmer labor candidates are focused on lowering costs for Minnesotans and protecting that quality of life. We're working to bring down the price of housing, healthcare, groceries, and other everyday bills. And as DFLers, we believe in your right to raise a family, own a home, and see a doctor without taking on debt.
Exactly, Asha. Well said. And so we always believe that our message needs to be backed up with facts. And so the facts this week are pretty straightforward. 4.2% inflation rose to a 3-year record high this last month. 4.2% inflation rose to that record high. $3,300 is the average Minnesota family has paid that much more to cover basic costs since Donald Trump took office. Because inflation has gone up, the average Minnesota family has paid $3,300 more to cover costs. $90. Minnesota families paid that much more on average for electricity in 2025 than in 2024. $90 on average for the increase in electricity costs. $468. Minnesota families have, on average, paid that much more for rent and mortgage payments since Donald Trump took office. $310. Minnesota families have spent that much more per year on groceries under Donald Trump. $298 since the start of the war in Iran. The average Minnesota family has paid that much more for gas. We're talking just weeks. He's increased the cost of putting gas in our car by $298 on average. And then $641 million. Minnesotans have paid that much more for gas since the start of the Iran war. That is how much it's costing us Minnesotans when it comes to their decisions. Asha, tell us about some quotes that help back up this message.
You got it. And Richard, I'm sorry, but after you just listed out those numbers, I could feel my anxiety rising up. I know this is real just for so many of us. We're feeling this. We're seeing it in our bank accounts. We're seeing it in the bills on the table. Our pocketbooks are paying for these Republican choices. But I'm going to dig further in. What are the Republicans saying in their own words? We're going to let them speak for themselves. These are some actual quotes from MNGOP gubernatorial candidates that are driving our message this week. We're going to start with MNGOP endorsed gubernatorial candidate Kendall Qualls. He said, and I quote, "You don't have to look far to see how President Trump has revitalized our economy. That's what I want to emulate in Minnesota." That's Kendall Qualls. That's who the GOP endorsed at their convention earlier this month. Here's another one from Kendall Qualls. When asked where he disagrees with Donald Trump, he said, "I don't know. Maybe I differ with the tie he chose." That was all he could come up with. The tie, Donald Trump's tie, nothing else. Next up, we have Lisa Demuth, okay? The GOP Speaker of the House, gubernatorial candidate. She says, "I would welcome an endorsement from President Trump, and he has absolutely delivered on the things that he said on the economy." Okay, Lisa Demuth thinks that Donald Trump has delivered for Minnesotans. We know that's not true. We just saw the numbers that his economic agenda is costing the average Minnesota family. And when asked about how she disagrees with Donald Trump, she said, and this is out there. We put out some good posts on this on our social media, and we'll link them today in the chat here too. Lisa Demuth said, "I don't have anything." Where do you disagree with Donald Trump? "I don't have anything." That was her response. And then we have Mike Lindell over there. And, I don't even need to share a direct quote from him. He's just over there saying that Trump is courageous. He's saying that Trump is his mentor. He's rubber stamping it. They all are. And so you heard it. These Republicans are investing in Donald Trump. They don't disagree with him on a single thing. And they think that his economic policies are delivering. And we know as Minnesotans that they are not.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Asha. We're going to go ahead and drop a bunch of links in the chat in terms of news articles that cite all of these different quotes that we're using, everything from the inflation number to Trump's quote, "I love inflation," that he told to the BBC. And then, of course, Minnesota ranks #1 in quality of life. That's a great one, too. We should really be celebrating that as much as we can. Okay, so now for the action. Now for the part I know that you're all prepared for, turning this week's message into action. It's really important for you all to take these steps. We win by listening to our neighbors. So the first action is sign up for at least one event this week to help us charge past our goal of 100,000 doors knocked by the end of June. Let me say that again. We have a goal of knocking 100,000 doors by the end of June, and we need you to sign up for a door knock shift in order for us to meet that. So first and foremost, I'm asking you to please sign up for a door knock shift. Number two, we have a bunch of these graphics with these quotes and everything. We are going to drop the link to these graphics in the chat. You can feel free to post these on your own social media channels. Maybe you help manage the social media sites of and channels of various local Senate districts or organizing units. Please go ahead and post these far and wide as you can. It's important for us to get these graphics out there so that people can see exactly how we can articulate what Republicans are doing. Democrats invest in Minnesotans and Republicans invest in Trump, and they're all aligned with him. Okay, so tomorrow I'll be answering your questions right here on the call. We're going to drop a link to a form in the chat. If you have a topic or question, Chuck, I just saw you talk about the Social Security Act. If you have a topic or question you want me to address tomorrow on the DFL Daily, please fill out this form and we'll make sure that we cover the topics that you want to hear about on the DFL Daily. This is a new approach that we're trying. We're trying to make sure that we're responsive and really meeting you where you're at. What are the things you need to know? Today campaign finance reports are coming out and we're seeing all the news about what Republicans have raised, what Democrats have raised. Here's a hint. Democrats raised a lot more, but that's not enough. Maybe you want us to talk about the polling that's in the Star Tribune this week, right? We saw polling yesterday that showed Amy Klobuchar up against every Republican opponent. And then today we saw that Donald Trump's disapproval rating reached an all-time high in Minnesota. It's at 56% now. And that's really interesting. His approval rating on the economy in Minnesota is 37%. People approve of his handling of the economy. Only 17% of independents approve of his handling of the economy. The polling in the Star Tribune is really interesting. Maybe you want us to cover, what door knocks we should all be attending this weekend. Click on the form that we just dropped into the chat and let us know what you want us to cover tomorrow on the DFL Daily. So that's it, folks. I was up in Bemidji last night. Thank you to the Beltrami County DFL for hosting an amazing fish fry. We got to see all of our local candidates. Ben Shire was there. Steve Simon joined the fun. I auctioned off a loaf of sourdough bread. I was they called me the model. I walked the bread around while somebody else auctioned it off. So thank you to the folks in Beltrami County for hosting that fish fry. We'll see you in Northeast tonight at the parade. Thank you for everybody for everything you're doing. We have 140 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing. Thanks, everybody.